Arsenal's injury crisis is real, and the timing could not be worse. 7 players down, a Carabao Cup already lost, Manchester City coming back with fresh confidence, and a treble still on the table. This is where Arsenal are right now, and honestly, it's a lot. The loss that started everything. Let's go back to Wembley on March 22nd. Arsenal versus Manchester City, Carabao Cup final. You know what happened. A young City player named Nico O'Reilly popped up twice in the second half with headed goals, and that was it. 2-0, cup gone, quadruple dream, over. Now Arsenal fans had been dreaming big this season. Premier League leaders, Champions League quarter-finals, FA Cup still alive. The talk of doing something nobody had ever done before, winning all 4 major trophies in one season, was actually real. And then Wembley happened. Here's the thing though, Arsenal didn't just lose the cup, they walked out of that stadium and straight into an injury nightmare. Because within hours of full time, the news started coming in one by one. Player after player pulling out of international duty. Problem after problem. Let's talk about all of it. 7 players, 7 problems. Gabriel, the knee scare nobody saw coming. Gabriel played every single minute of that final. He was solid. He kept Haaland mostly quiet. And then after the game, he started feeling pain in his right knee. The Brazilian Football Confederation confirmed it. Gabriel is out of Brazil's friendlies against France and Croatia. Scans confirmed the issue. Now, nobody is panicking yet. And to be fair, we don't know the full picture. It could be minor, but Gabriel is one of the best centre-backs in the world right now. Losing him, even for a week or two, is not small news. The hope is he'll be back for the FA Cup quarter-final against Southampton on April 4th. But until Arteta gives a clear update, there's a question mark sitting over this one. Is it a precaution or something more serious? That's the big question right now. William Saliba, his ankle again, same story with Saliba. Played the full 90 at Wembley, looked good, then pulled out of the France squad with a left ankle issue. France brought in Crystal Palace's Maxence Lacroix as his replacement. Here's what makes this one a bit more worrying. Saliba has had ankle problems earlier this season too. It keeps coming back, and when your best defender keeps tweaking the same ankle, that's a pattern you don't want to see. Again, the expectation is that he should be available for Southampton. But Saliba and Gabriel both being doubts at the same time, Arsenal's entire defensive foundation is suddenly a bit shaky. Ibarrechi Eze, the one that really stings. This one hurts the most, honestly. Eze had been absolutely magnificent in the Champions League win over Bayer Leverkusen. He scored, he created, he was the most dangerous player on the pitch, and then he came off near the end looking uncomfortable. Arteta confirmed it was a calf injury. Eze missed the Wembley final completely. He's also out of the England squad. Thomas Tuchel had to call up Ben White as a replacement, which, by the way, gave White his first England call-up in 4 years. Arteta said they tried everything to get Eze fit. He also said Eze needs another scan in 6 or 7 days before anyone can give a proper update. Reports are saying at least 2 weeks out, so Southampton on April 4th looks too soon. The more realistic target is the Champions League quarter-final first leg against Sporting in Lisbon on April 7th. Think about that for a second. Arsenal could go into the FA Cup quarter-final without Eze, without Odegaard, and potentially without Gabriel or Saliba, against a Southampton team fighting for their championship playoff lives. Upset territory? Maybe not. But it's not the comfortable situation you'd want. Eze has basically become Arsenal's most important attacking player this season. Can they cope without him for 3 weeks? What do you think? Leandro Trossard, mystery injury Trossard, quietly pulled out of Belgium duty on Monday. No explanation given. The Belgian FA just said it would allow him to recover under optimal conditions. We know Trossard picked up a knock in the FA Cup 5th round win at Mansfield that kept him out of the first leg in Leverkusen. He came back, but maybe he's not fully right yet. The hope here is he's back for Southampton. Given how vague the information is, I'm cautiously optimistic. But we've been down this road before with Arsenal this season. Minor issue turns into 3 weeks out. I'm not fully convinced until I see him in the starting 11. Jurriën Timber, the never-ending ankle problem. Poor Jurriën Timber. This lad just cannot stay fit. He got injured against Everton, missed the Leverkusen second leg, and was spotted back in training the day before the final, but then didn't make it into the squad. Arteta said both Timber and Odegaard are still a couple of weeks away. Fabrizio Romano passed on Arteta's exact words after Leverkusen. Jurrien Timber and Martin Odegaard will be out, and that was before the final even happened. Koeman had called Timber up for Netherlands duty, but he withdrew. Sunderland's Lutjarel Geertruida took his spot instead. The good news is, this ankle issue doesn't seem as serious as some of the others. April 4th versus Southampton still feels realistic. But we said that before the final too. Martin Odegaard, the captain, is still missing. This is probably the one that's affecting Arsenal the most right now. Odegaard has barely played since February. A knee problem against Brentford started it all. He came back briefly, a cameo off the bench in the North London derby against Spurs, but then went straight back to being unavailable. He's now missed 7 straight games. Fabrizio Romano quoted Arteta directly after the Leverkusen game. Jurrien Timber and Martin Odegaard will be out tomorrow. And the same happened at Wembley. Arteta said before the final that they couldn't make it and that it would be a couple of weeks. There are actually some slightly positive signs here. Reports from the Mirror suggest Odegaard was close to being fit for the Wembley final, but Arsenal chose not to rush him back. That's actually smart. The last thing you want is him coming back, aggravating the knee and missing the entire run-in. Norway left him out of their squad for the international break too, which signals Arsenal want him resting and recovering properly. The Southampton game on April 4th is being targeted as a return date. Fingers crossed. When Odegaard plays, Arsenal look like a completely different team. His passing is genuinely elite. Nobody in the Premier League last season completed more progressive passes per 90 minutes. Without him, Arsenal struggle to create chances at volume. It showed at Wembley. They had 0.6 expected goals. That's not good enough. How much do you think Arsenal miss Odegaard compared to everyone else? Drop your thoughts below. Mikel Merino. The season might be over. And then there's Merino. This one is genuinely sad. Back in January, Merino scored against Manchester United in a home Premier League game. A brilliant moment. And then in that same match, he suffered a rare and serious bone injury in his right foot. Surgery followed in early February. At Wembley on Sunday, he was there to support his teammates, but he was on crutches, foot in a protective boot, watching from the side. That image said everything. There's no confirmed return date. The season might genuinely be over for him. And beyond that, there are now real doubts about whether he'll be fit for Spain at the World Cup in North America this summer. Arteta said the surgery went well and that Merino will do everything he can to speed up recovery. But with bone injuries, you cannot rush it. The timelines are what they are. What does this actually mean for Arsenal? Let's be real for a second. 9 points clear in the Premier League with 7 games left is a massive lead. Even with all these injuries, it's hard to see them blowing that. But hard to see is not the same as impossible, especially when Man City still have a game in hand and Arsenal still have to go to the Etihad. Think about that trip to City. If Arsenal go there with Odegaard, Eze, Timber, Saliba and Gabriel all back and fit, they have a real chance. If half of those players are still missing, City, now buzzing after Wembley, will fancy their chances. The FA Cup quarter-final at Southampton on April 4th is the immediate test. Southampton are in the Championship, but they're pushing hard for the playoffs. They'll be fired up at home, and Arsenal could be without some key players. Not a gimme. Then comes Sporting in Lisbon on April 7th for the Champions League quarter-final first leg. This is where the treble chase really begins. Sporting are not a pushover. Arsenal need their best players available for that. Fabrizio Romano recently confirmed that Arsenal are working on contract extensions for Timber and Declan Rice, which shows the club is thinking long-term and feels positive about where things are going. That's good. But right now, in the short term, they need bodies on the pitch. The bigger picture, is this squad deep enough? Here's something worth thinking about. Arsenal didn't make any signings in January despite Merino's injury. Romano confirmed at the time that Arteta considered an emergency move. Sandro Tonali was reportedly an option, but nothing happened. Now they're heading into the most important stretch of their season with a significant chunk of their best players either injured or only just returning. Ben White stepping in at right back, Piero Hincapié covering at centre back. The fringe players are suddenly very important. It raises a genuine question. Is the squad deep enough to handle injuries of this scale and still win trophies? I think the answer is just about. But it requires most of these players getting fit within the next 2 to 3 weeks. If 3 or 4 of them are still out by the time Sporting comes around, it becomes genuinely difficult. The summer might be busy. Romano also revealed that Arsenal are expected to sign at least 1, possibly 2 attacking players this summer. He mentioned Kavica Kvaratskhelia as an ideal profile fit, though PSG have made it absolutely clear he is not for sale. He also flagged Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa as someone Arsenal have been monitoring, with the likes of Chelsea and Spurs also interested. Both Trossard and Gabriel Martinelli will have less than a year on their contracts when next season starts. That's a decision Arsenal cannot keep delaying. If one or both leave, a replacement on the left wing becomes urgent business. But that's the summer. Right now, the focus is on getting through the next 6 weeks with whatever is available. Final thoughts: Arsenal's season is still very much alive. 9 points in the league, FA Cup quarter-final coming, Champions League last 8 just around the corner. Arteta has built something real here, but this injury crisis is not small. 7 players affected in the space of a few days is a genuine problem, and the timing right before the most important run of the season makes it even more stressful. The international break is actually a small blessing in disguise. It gives some of these players extra time to recover before the action resumes on 8. If Odegaard, Timber, Gabriel, Saliba and Trossard can all come back somewhere close to full fitness after the break, Arsenal will still be in a strong position. If they can't, then we're going to find out just how good Mikel Arteta really is at problem solving. So what do you think? Can Arsenal still win the league and go deep in the Champions League with all these injuries? Or is one of them going to slip away? Let me know below.